to Epic Experiences. I'm your host, Sinitra Skillern. Remember, Epic Experiences, Epic stands for Encouraging People, Inspiring Communities. This is episode 4. I'm so excited. I'm super extra excited because today I have one of the 3 most important men in my life. There's my husband, there's my brother, and then, introduce yourself. Who are you?
I am dad to Sinitra Skillern.
And your
Proud,
name is?
happy, and excited.
Okay.
Michael Thompson.
And I am proud and humbled that you would say yes to join me here to have this conversation and have this experience.
Okay.
And so, how it works, we just talk. I got questions. We can answer them. We may go off topic, come back on topic. You may ask me a question. I'm open to that.
Okie doke.
Yeah, but all we do is just converse around a general topic, and then that's it. So
Okay.
it's a safe space. We just gonna knock it out, rock it out.
Okie doke.
Okay, you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
I am readier than ready.
Readier than ready. All right, so there's a couple different angles. I take notes and write down questions and have thoughts and stuff. And I know you as my dad, but I don't know how much I know about you as a man. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like separate from being my father.
There's a story and a backstory.
Yeah, and so part of our journey today is going to be talking about a couple different aspects of that journey, and then just trying to put some pieces together and really have fun. Because one thing you know how to do is have fun. You know how to laugh. You know how to make me laugh, and I'm so sure that's going to happen at some point in this talk. And so I am super excited to get started. And so you introduced yourself. You told us your name. The one place I wanted to start first is your historical connection to Cleveland. Do you know what I mean by that?
Should I go back a generation and say from whence I was born? Are we talking about generational retrace or something along that way, or where I started remembering being me, my first recollection of being
I want a specific moment in time, and I wrote the note down. Your historical connection to Cleveland with J&G Deli.
Okay.
That's where I want to go.
Let me say first of all that I am excited as well. A couple reasons for this opportunity, and to really begin to recognize my relationship not only with my daughter but with my Heavenly Father. My growth is coming into fruition. My spiritual growth, it's got 3 parts. You got spiritual, mental, and physical, and you have to have them in balance. It has to be in line, and so it's here now. I mean, if there's a better feeling, I haven't found it, and this is letting me know that this is what they say, that you haven't begun to realize some of the greatness, and this is pretty much where I'm at. As I turned 11 years old, this family business was erected. I was about 8 years old. And this started on a Saturday down on Quincy Avenue, 8627 Quincy Avenue. And on Saturday afternoons, I was commanded to come down from Kinsman Avenue to Quincy Avenue and participate in this family business. I was a mess. I had gotten to be unruly, and God was beginning to fix things, as He always will. On Saturdays, I'd get there, go back home. Best of my recollection, everything was a new, it was way more than an eye-opening experience. I mean, I had no idea from moment to moment, everything was just a it was a wow, it was a poof, because when I turned around, there were not only people coming, but I'm starstruck, and I'm looking over here and looking over, and then there were strings put on me to say, do this, do that, don't do that, don't look, because across the street from the store there were different businesses, but there was a chicken market in the back where they had fresh chickens that they processed, and it was across the street, and I was just so enthralled about what was going on over there. You could hear it, you could smell it, people moving, and I'm supposed to be doing something in here, but I was mesmerized. I was in a trance to go, and that was my first recollection. So as things went on, the next couple years went so fast until I wound up after school. I'm in junior high school, and I wound up after junior high school coming down every day after school because I got a little bit less controlled. I wasn't minding my parents as I should have, and that meant that every day after school I was on that 3:00 bus, 3:30 bus coming on down, and we had moved up the street to a larger building.
Is that the building that I know that was that was across from Olivet?
Yes.
Because I knew it when Olivet was there.
Yes, and if you can just go back for your own recollection, I don't know if you can remember. You got to come back. This is in the block of 86 and 87. The one that's current was 87 to 88.
Okay.
But anyway, there was, and this was in 1963, and I think this was at least 10 years before Sinitra was born. 11 years, and there we go. So here we are, and we are launching this business, and this whole avenue was black owned at that time. I don't have any recollection of anybody else of any other culture owning a business from 105 in Quincy all the way as far down as you could go, where the dead end is at.
Yeah.
You know, when you get down to 22nd Street. And I began to have a dual neighborhood connection. There were, I didn't go to school there as far as public schools or that formal education that they require you to go to during the day. But believe me, there was a in-between schooling from the neighborhood that gave me some type of a, at some point I was not, you know, you had to be kind of part of the neighborhood to not get pushed around or bullied or whatever. And I didn't have that kind of, I didn't have that toughness to say, well, I'll just fight my way in. So I kind of just rented a friend, if you will. I looked up, and whatever these guys needed from the store, which was, you know, that was just probably the most unsavory thing I could do. I mean, guys would come in and say, let me get away with a bag of chips or this, that, and other. So finally, I guess some of the folks that were my dad's and mom's peers would come in and say, no, that's not the way we do this. This is not what you do. And it began to turn around. So then I became forced into trying to stand my ground or man up, as they say.
The thing that you said you had to do to be in the neighborhood.
Or else.
Yeah.
So that little friction that came in there grew us up. After a while, that chapter went away, that book's on the shelf. So now I'm one of the guys. But that was after, so it kind of kept me at a thing where I wasn't really level with them. I was still kind of like a little side kick. I wasn't really, so that meant that I had to go back with the guys that I grew up with and sort of play that role a little bit. Some of the guys that were living in that neighborhood had moved up to where I'm living at, so it was kind of working out, but it still had a little, it depended on where we were at. We could go to some of the skating rink, whatever it was, down on that end of town. Those guys where I grew up did not get along with the guys on Quincy Avenue. There was this rivalry that, you know, they were at, it was civil war all the time. They weren't bashful. They came down there, and socially and otherwise. So at some point or the other, I found myself accepted only because they kind of knew and just said, you know what, you can't jump on it. Go ahead, just get out the way. And that grew into, between the business and that, it's just a special kind of badge that you got, pass and all that in one, and it made it different. I mean, the guys were looking and saying, sometimes, can you just get me in down? They got something going on down there. Come on with us. They know you, so that'll get us in. And that kind of gave, I'm just telling you, gave a special kind of thing. I didn't realize at the time. I didn't try to make it anything that I used and all that. It was just, I'm just saying, whoa, really? I was kind of surprised a lot of, and it worked.
So having that, did the business being in this row of Black-owned businesses, do you think that played some kind of role in, his dad owns J&G, or, you know, did that do something? Because being a business owner, being a Black business owner in the 60s, what did you realize what that meant at that time? Or was it just like, hey, it was just normal? It was a row of businesses that were just there.
I was, for lack of a better term, I was burnt out. By the time I got out of high school, I was ready to leave the country. My father knew that I was becoming victim. I was becoming a part of the street underground, and he knew I was one of the guys that would follow a little bit. But after a little while, and I caught on to what was going on, then I thought that I could probably do what they were doing, and I was doing that. But you know, you really are just a follower or a leader. So in 99% of the time, I was just following some guys that were shining a little bit brighter than me. Now, for some folks were into construction, they weren't on the main street and didn't have a shingle hanging out. There was another family that had a print shop and so forth and so on. But to have a sign out there to say that this was the store, it made it look like you were almost like a supermarket, because it was bigger than the average small deli, but it was smaller than a supermarket. But to go back to the time frame, he was open 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. You take 8 hours for sleeping and right back, let's go. Every day of the year. I think there was some vacation in there, but I can't remember any. I mean, I just didn't show up or something. It had to be sick time or something like that. One of the bigger blessings is that my father was so astute that he took out Social Security for us every week. He paid into the Social Security system and state taxes and so forth and so on, which rescued me way further down the line. Everybody was able to collect Social Security. When I got old enough, those years alone meant there was a blank slate where I just didn't think that I needed to work and so forth and so on. It rescued me when I got to be at a point of desperation to retire early and get some money, just enough to make it. This was, and at one point I had all of those books and things, but as this thing began to grow and this business began to blossom, he sold everything. And I do have some point or another I'll share with you. I have some footage of the way the store looked at this point, and that point.
Oh wow.
And as I say again, my dad was not born into that type of work. But he had a certain trade that he had that was outside of going and punching a time clock. And when that got to be too dangerous out in the street, he decided, I'll invest my money in a small grocery business.
Okay.
The original store was called J&S. That was Gene and Sam. My father was not going to work, so he hired two people to run this store. Put the money in there, put the stuff in there, let's sell it. I'll get the profit, and I'll not have to do some of that other stuff, things that we were doing. And he was not one of these unsavory underground type of guys. That's why as soon as one of his buddies, they started running into some dangerous situations. One of them got killed, and he said, "Whoa, that's
enough for me."
No.
Yeah.
He didn't even drive a car, so he decided to do this. So Sam didn't work out. His buddy didn't work out.
Okay.
So that's where G came from.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he got in and put his apron on, and the rest is history.
Yeah. That work ethic that lives, that I would say lives through you and lives through the other Michael Thompson.
Yeah.
There's no
B and C.
There's no sit down in y'all at all.
No.
And so that part of history, not to go too deep into that, but that's, that store being in that location, in that neighborhood, is eventually how I got here, because my mother lived in that neighborhood.
She went to Olivet Church.
Yes, and so that, coming which was right across the street from, and that's what I remember. Like, my memory of the store was being there. Kiramu was on the other side, and then Olivet was across the street. And so just being, that is an iconic part of the city. And so that's why I wanted you to kind of unpack, or just say that I'm proud that that's a part of my legacy, but you have such deep root, and I'm sure we could have a whole series about what you know about the city of Cleveland from that period to what it is now. And I know we know what we see, but you could give detailed account of how it went from 105 to 22nd of all black businesses to not that.
And you can stand on 105 now and look all the way to 22nd. There's maybe that there's a funeral home on 86, and
well, shoot, it's the Opportunity Corridor now. You can't see a whole lot of nothing.
Right. You can stand at the top of 105 right there, Opportunity Corner, look all the way down, and I think you see maybe two black businesses. One is that clinic that Reverend Moss put there, the funeral home on 86, and going further down in between, there may be the funeral home at 59th and Quincy there, and that may be it going further down that are black owned.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna go forward a bit, and then we're gonna go back.
Okay.
So I want to talk about, I'm gonna call this part your success story, because I want to talk about where you are right now. Talk about what you consider your successes are in this moment. That's for you to define, not for me. So in this present moment in your life, what do you consider your successes to be?
My successes have been able to realize from where my strengths come. I've had some experiences of the world, and I known of the kingdom, which is you have the spiritual realm and you have the natural realm. So as I come to know that some of these things that I've experienced and some of the things I've survived aren't just some kind of a happenstance, or I can say, well, this is that and this is this.
Yeah.
It is all threaded, and if you just allow yourself to pay attention and hear, listen, and do some of the simple things that are done. And if you survive some of these things, for that moment, if you allow them to sort of work in your life, you'll be able to show what it is that has happened, and then through reverence, you'll be able to help somebody else. So my successes have come not through anything that I want to claim that I did, but the seeds were planted early. I've had the seeds of spirituality planted early, and prayer is what got me anywhere near where I'm at today. And to be able to maintain that and go forward, I have to know that the power of prayer is what gives you the connection that these things that are of what I would call a darkness here, you can't begin to. At one point, I was comparing what these guys did, what I did, and I always wound up judging somebody, not knowing that out of ignorance. I was just saying, well, I'm not quite that bad because so forth and so on, and I was way worse at some point or the other. Didn't matter whether it was then, in between, or now. So giving all of the proper praises and given the proper credits to the things that have really happened could have only happened through a spiritual turnaround. And I know that now. That's where the successes really come from. I could say that the work ethic that I had, the workplaces that I was at, well, it was there. It wasn't the work that I did. It was the saving grace that allows me now to be able to go back and say, that's how you got the knowledge to be able to know a few things about the food business, or where I'm at currently working, to be able to know exactly what a human spirit might need to be able to just not only stop and hear something for a moment, but follow some kind of an example that's got a little bit of light to it. Other than that, I'll complicate it. This is a complicated individual you're looking at here, and it's ever so simple if we just decide that we want to have the obedience that's suggested. And I always have two words that I'm just hoping to reach somebody, or else. Or else. You want to. Yeah, easy way.
Or else.
To be able, they talk about 10. Now I'm 10 plus, and it's just now registering that I've got a lot of contemporaries, a lot of peers that are not here, and those that are in such and such a shape, and so forth and so on. Let me not only realize, but let me remember. They remind me ever so constantly throughout a day. I have to say that now, here lately, we've been involved in a training class. It's called Prayer Altars, and it's called a master class, and it teaches you about the portal between spiritual realm and natural world. Things are out of line, and for us to not realize that we bring the light to where there's darkness, this is a solution. This is where you get to. I've kind of arrived there, and it'll never be full 100%. So in other words, there's progress. There's progress that I must surround myself with someone that has what I need to grow a little bit more on a daily basis, or else. I can tell you that in the last 2-3 days, it's been a reminder that if you don't pray, you'll soon see why you should pray. Daily, multiple times during the day, not only for yourself, for someone else, and pray that somebody else is praying for you.
Yeah.
This has become a real simple chore for me. It's a chore for me because I have to say to myself, maybe later, not feeling my toe hurt. I'm gonna. That old behavior is just below the surface.
Oh, that flesh.
I'm probably just as I'm in a club. Everybody's got the same thing, but the more you allow yourself to be given and fed by a spirit, I mean, you heal.
You said the word. You said obedient. And obedience. And in a previous episode, we were talking about obedience versus sacrifice. Where when you sacrifice something, it is me giving up something for something else. So I'm in it. I'm a part of this thing. If I want my devotion time in the morning, I need to sacrifice sleep. So I'm in it. So to gain something, I'm going to lose something else. But obedience is regardless of me. I'm going to do what I'm told. I'm going to do what I know is the right thing. And so you said the word obedience because, and I agree with you on that. It is a chore for me as well because I wake up with it on my mind and it's something I'm supposed to do. And it could literally take one little thing and I look up and the time that I'm supposed to have for my devotion in the morning is gone. And now I'm supposed to be getting ready to get dressed. And it's like, Lord, forgive me. I know I was supposed to do this thing because it's more sacrificial where I'm part of the equation rather than being obedience where I'm doing it because it's what I'm supposed to do. So nothing from me is supposed to take away that time. And so I'm agreeing with you on the obedience part and the part that, having that, given that time, that designated time, and knowing that if I don't stay connected to who I know is, in charge of my life, it's going, like you said, it's going to crop up and I'm going to be reminded of this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, and I told you I was going to take you forward, and I love the way you talked about success. Like you didn't name, I was expecting like this, I've done that, but you just put a blanket over it like anything that I've done ain't got nothing to do with me. So if anything I want to call success, I'm going to kick that back to the man upstairs because that's who governs my life.
I wanted to realize that I've come to know what a purpose is for me, for anybody. So I'm recognizing that if I know that purpose is, and somebody asks me, what is your purpose? Is to probably leave things better than I found them. I don't care if it's in the day, when I go to work, or something like that. It drives me. And then I can go back to mend, repair, restore, family situations, kind of have a list. Everybody's got some good intention. I got to be one of the most scattered guys it is. I got a tag on me as being a guy that likes to hang on to stuff. They got another name, another mundane name, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
We're not going to even call it.
Nope. But it's true. I've got this idea. It's probably coming. I could go back and say it was my grandmother, my father, which is true. They hung on to a lot of stuff out of survival. And I'm probably fearful at one point if you have gone from one situation to another, darkness to light, you're fearful that if you don't have enough, you're still there. So I'm sort of arriving at a new point now to where I can let go. And they say let God, but I'm still in that process of letting go. And if I can just say it's letting weight up off of me, I can tell you. I mean, I'm appreciating the breath, the health. I'm looking at the situation he's placed me in, where these guys are misguided. I've been there, and it was all when I first wound up getting this opportunity. I said, I don't do that. I mean, I do such and such, and I just said, well, at that point, the desperation said, okay, I do it. I mean, I need an income, so I'm gonna do it. Had no idea how much, you know, reward there is in this as we speak.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the fruition of another individual, and I'm looking at myself. And I don't have to tell you another family member. He's placed him, and I'm just kept saying to myself.
Yeah.
Any other time, I take all the credit. I say, people are asking me, well, it doesn't even matter that I tell them who it is. We haven't even announced in a week's time, and that's really not me. I want to, you know, hey.
Right. It's all me. It's all me. Right.
Yeah. And they can see it. And whoever knows, there's been a regard to say that even, they must not want it to be the first thing that we do here, because they know the order in which this thing is coming about, the way it's evolving. They know that they need that. The folks that know me know that they need to embrace the situation a certain kind of way. Yeah. We don't just get here. We're not going to make this some type of a spectacle just based on that. Ooh, we look at this and that.
Right.
Because everything else there needs some care.
Yeah.
We need to be doing some mending here.
Yeah.
From all perspectives, from the inside.
Yeah. And so, talking about that, a couple of things that is actually leading me into what I want to talk about next, where you said, you know, where I am right now, the opportunity that was, you know, presented to you to be in this space where you work and you serve. You know, you serve and you give of yourself daily. And so, but you weren't always at this place. You said, okay, I need an income, so I'll do it. But like now we were here, now we're gonna go back some. You talked about, you know, your dual neighborhood citizenship, basically how I went to school here, grew up here, but I also had ties here. And so the purpose of us coming together today is to talk about a journey that, you know, is never ending, but a journey that I have a little bit of knowledge on. So I'm learning as well. You're gonna teach me some things and tell me some things. But I really want to talk to you about the specific turning point in your life where you started to struggle with addiction. Because that, you know, this is something that is not uncommon. But as we talked about, I think we talked about this either earlier today or in the past, I'm sure at some point, like it's when it's close to home, you know what I'm saying? It gives a different perspective. And so I just want you to, you know, I don't really have a specific question. I just really want you to just walk me through or walk us through like that part of your life to whatever degree you're willing to share.
As life shows up, again, my upbringing was no more unique than anybody else's. There were folks that had things that they did. Certain habits were out of balance over here. For instance, my father didn't have those type. His lifestyle did not include anything like that at all. Now, he might have gambled, but he didn't have a problem losing money like that. He was on the other end of it. He could count cards and things like that. Other guys were getting they were getting drunk, so he could know how to. They got a name for that, but that's the way that went. But he never, I guess based on his circumstance and coming up, was never going to wind up having an addictive gambling habit. He didn't play the slots, or he didn't go and lose all of his money. He was always on the trying to make more money come this way. I had a long list of family members on my mother's side. They drank heavy, all my uncles and so forth and so on. Now, my lifestyle didn't begin inside that home. I mean, baptismal, going to Sunday school, so forth and so on.
Those seeds you talked about that were planted.
And as I evolved, and I just want to say, life showed up. I got to where I was included in the in crowd. These things are going to be there. My chemistry or my nature, my personality was such that I wanted to fit in at a particular time. I was one of these guys that was going to do whatever it took to kind of fit in, and before I knew it, I was probably one of the ones that wanted to fit in where I was at. I didn't realize it like that because I was always looking this way for somebody, but other guys were attaching to these things that I was picking up on. They were doing it, emulating it too. So as a lifestyle becomes a problem, which it did, I wouldn't have any kind of we take things and we use them to cope and deal with on a daily basis, not realizing at some point or other you got the consequence is going to come, and it did. It came early on. There were some legal situations that come up, and they were able to get adjusted a little bit, amended. Nothing major. There was no major consequences. There were some consequences. I had to make a geographical change. I had to leave from where I was living on Kinsman to go and live on Cedar. And even to graduate, I had to leave the last year of my high school and go from one high school to another high school. By the grace and the mercy, I was able to graduate. Nothing I did. People did my homework for me because they thought I was whatever that was. They thought I was just being in the store. He's something. So that was that. Probably something I proposed. I don't want to forget that. I want to say, well, everybody else kind of no. The whole lot of what I did was rigging and doing and so forth and so on, finagling and so forth. But as we get to the darker part of the road, when things began to get, the world got real small for me. I didn't really realize that when you get, and your body begins to have a physical allergy, you got a mental obsession going, you're going to find out that you won't be able to do the normal function that folks do. Your mental equations and things that you would do to make good decisions turn into not so good decisions. And this is what happened. I wind up, as they say, a lot of times they say you hit your bottom. My bottom came up to meet me. And that was something that I didn't know until I got way down. I wanted to, whatever somebody said, I kind of said, okay, that's what happened. So not everyone has a rescue, whether it be from our Heavenly Father or from some of the folks that are down here on earth, because he sends them all. And he has us all one way or another. And this is what happened in my case. Some of the guys, well, one guy in particular from the old neighborhood down in the Fairfax area just happened to spot me at a very opportune time. And he took me and put me in another time and place to be able to do a turnaround and a rescue. It doesn't always work real simple. It didn't work for him 2 or 3 times before. Now, the real huge blessing in my particular situation is I haven't had to change whom I have as a person that coaches me for the last 13 years.
Wow. I
haven't had to change a job. I can't tell you how long the list is. I mean, I work many places. I outgrew the store that my dad started, and I'd go work here in the daytime. I worked for Goodyear. I worked for a whole lot of places during the day. Folks wanted me to Huff Supply. They wanted me to work because they thought I'd make a great person that would fit in with the company, and worked at the store at night. But I couldn't keep them. I would get a whole lot of everything, but I couldn't keep it. And I know now that these things that are in and of the world, they will have you at your lowest point some way or another. For the most part, your body will stop you. It's mental and physical combined. So when that comes to the point where you no longer are able to do certain things, you either get put, you wind up out of society one way or another, whether it be in a mental institution, you might be in another physical institution, or some sort or the other. To this point, I haven't had to suffer major removals from society, but I lost me.
Say more about that. What do you mean by that?
I didn't realize that I was not only mild to severe insane, because some of the things I thought I was doing, who would do the same thing over and over and expect some different results?
Yeah.
I mean, common sense had no longer a place there. It wasn't so common anymore. But I came to the realization that some of these things that I was doing, I mean, why would I do this? But I wouldn't drink Clorox. But I'll drink this. I don't walk across the street without looking. I mean, common sense was still there to some degree. So that's mild to severe, depending on what's going on. So as I got to a point where I could no longer realize that not only was I hurt, but what about others that are close by, that are beginning to feel the effects?
Yeah.
And say, what you know, they call in family meeting, what we're gonna do?
Yeah, because
let's get his insurance, you know, things like that.
Yeah,
I was numb to any of that.
But the one thing I wanted to talk about, because, and this is why I wanted to have you on, is because until, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but two things. One, when Jason saw you at 2100, that point when he was serving from the church and you were there, that was one eye-opener, like, what's going on? But second, when you actually went into rehab was the Salvation Army over on St. Clair? Was that?
On
Nottingham?
152nd Aspen Wall. The VOA, Volunteers of America.
So,
VOA.
yes. So, but before those two things, I knew nothing of anything. I didn't know about it. I didn't know anything. And so you talk about, like, it started to affect, you know, it was no longer just you. It was like, hey, what are we going to do? And so one of the things I wanted you to unpack a little bit is just like what relationships were, you know, damaged, but then how, and I guess for me it's like, how could I not know? How could I not know? I know I was younger, but, you know, I was still not a baby. So well, how could I not know?
Number one, he's got it arranged in such a way to where I probably would have been the best disguised guy ever. I was told that by my father, because somebody came to him and told him, this is what's going on. And he said, well, I can accept this part, but he ain't got a problem like that. He might have a problem on the money part of it and doing all, but him having a problem where it affects him mentally and physically, and he's all, you know, out of bounds like that. No, I don't see what. And we had a family meeting at one time, and they're saying, huh? I don't see it. Well, it kind of works that way. Number one, I would have never known to this moment that Jason saw me there.
Yep. You didn't know he saw you?
No. Well, at that point, I didn't know.
Yeah, right. Yes.
I didn't know earth from heaven.
Yep.
I knew about old redhead down there. I knew about him. When we went and you took me on that particular moment to the VOA that day, I remember riding in the car. You guys dropped me off that day. I can't really remember because I had evolved from there. But was Jason there from the church?
Yes, they were serving. Because every year the men from our church would go and serve at 2100 on Lakeside.
I can't even remember knowing that I had met you. How would he know me and I didn't know him at that point? that's got me right. That timeline,
We were married, yeah.
and I didn't know.
Yes.
I can't really honestly say that I remember when I was introduced. Was it during that time? Before that time? It had to be before then because he knew of me. If he recognized me out of a crowd,
yeah, I think it was. It had to be before then.
That was in 2008. I can tell you that.
Oh wow, yeah, we have been married 7 years by then. Wow. Kristen was a baby. Kristen was 3.
And see,
3 or 4.
I can't really tell you. In 2001, I was working at Heinen's, and going on forward, that lasted about 10 years before that, I was running the store. And then when I closed the store, I went to Heinen's and worked there until 2008. It was about 8 or 9 years I worked there.
I remember you were at Heinen's.
So I don't really remember right in there because all of that was a blur under some influence or the other.
Yeah.
And not under the correct influence.
Yeah.
You know, blocking out blessing, light, and so forth and so on. But this brings a lot to full circle for me because I would kind of carry some kind of I don't want to admit to a resentment, but just a misunderstanding as to what happened there. I have the nerve to say, why wasn't this why wasn't I informed, and why did, and so forth and so on. The question is quickly answered. Oh, you know why. It wasn't a good fit. Now, when I never had that conversation with him, but then I can remember taking that ride and you guys dropping me off, and I'm saying, well, this is mighty nice. Mr. Wonderful is willing to go along with this, this great situation here. This is probably a lot for him to, and he already knew a whole lot because I can remember being there for a month. I've seen 2 and 3 generations stay there for 2 years, and I was only there a month before I went to the VOA. And the only reason I was there was because I had done this military stint for 30 days in the Air Force, and I was allowed. That's a military place where you can go and do some rehabilitation. And this is one of the greater moments for me because I wouldn't have known that part is kind of important. He knows as much or more about me than I knew about myself right then. And he's never never chose to say, how'd you do that? Anything came out. He never said, don't you remember me? I'm like, no. And my first thing is to say, I was never where y'all was at. I didn't go there. I wasn't up in no tree. I wasn't behind the funky spot, nothing like that. Oh no. You talking about me? Oh, no. I didn't do that. And it lets me know that there's so much yet that can be restored.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes.
And I'm well on my way. My job now is to help.
Yeah.
You don't know, I'm at third base in life. More behind me than there is in front of me. And needless to say, we always have the word comes that somebody is passed on. I got it the other day, right around the corner from the store. And I want to become as able as I can to know it don't matter if I get a hangnail, if this knee start hurting again. Well, don't you remember when he saved you when you were smashed between 2 cars?
Lord have mercy.
And you still walk without a gimp. You played tennis for a long, and you rode bikes from here to there.
You and that bike.
and so forth. Yeah. And still have a little something left between these ears to say, help me. Yeah. I don't now say, all right, everybody listen up. This is me, and y'all get um,
Yeah, no.
I've got, I guess, what they call a certain attitude. But I look at what they would call, used to call old folks, and the way that they felt, kind of no nonsense type of thing. Um, I'm 150% that now. I don't have the tolerance for these guys to not, or they need to see somebody that's not even willing to talk to them unless you conduct yourself around me that way. Go around there and do that such and such and such. But thou shalt not remember that you're my junior. I'm just saying I have to play that card just to make something. You don't wind up where I'm working now. You don't wind up here just because you decided one day you want to come down here and be at this place with Mickey. You don't know.
So you understand the level of, if you're here, there's some seriousness for you being here.
And there's this one time that you're there. I started out, when I started there, you could stay there for 2 years. There was devotion, there was all type of, the place is a faith-based organization. There's a chapel there that has all taken at least a 180-degree turn. You can blame it on the pandemic. All of that, I can tell you, is nonsense. That has nothing to do with anything, because any other kind of demic or isms have been there the whole time. And it was a whole lot different than it was. And it's going to change as we speak. It's changing now. It's always going to be some change. What are you going to do that is given from the beginning, the middle, and the end? That'll mend, repair, restore all of us.
Right.
So if you don't have some sort of example, I wouldn't care if the guy that signs the checks, and I don't want to get too far into me, but I know for a fact that I'm surrounded. I have armor now. I have all types of ways to help. And only because somebody helped me. And I'm going to need help moment to moment. I don't know when it's showing up now. It's always going to show up. And I would hope that somebody would still be there to help prop up.
Because you didn't go through this for nothing. You go back and you now recognize, you talked about the seeds of faith and spirituality, and then you talked about, like, hey, you didn't, the grace in what I'm hearing is, you didn't even have to get to your rock bottom. It met you where you was like, okay, this is enough. Because, the word says, I know the plans that I have for you. And even though you had got off track, it was God's divine order to put you back on track. And so you know what it was there at where you work now, but you're a remnant. You are a remnant of what the core of that place is. And what they can't do, they can change a program, they can take away chapel, they can do whatever it is they're doing. But what they can't do is take away your experience and your how God is using you to heal and restore and speak to and in a way show His love. Like, His love is just. His love is it is holy, it's righteous, but His love is also, like, I think you lead with that. Like, it may come off as you just, whatever you said, I'm a 150% old person now, but that still speaks to, I know when I step to Mickey, there's a standard there. And so that's something, that's the same with God. There's a standard there. Like, I'll welcome you, but like you said, you just can't come to me all willy-nilly and sideways, because I know what my purpose is. I know how God has positioned me to be able to be a benefit. And not that it's you doing it, but you are allowing yourself to be placed as a vessel. And I want to go back to, I'm going to get a little emotional. It's okay. You talking about Jay not saying anything? And through this whole journey, his focus has, and mine too, but his focus has literally been on who God has made you right now and what you are becoming. And all of that other stuff in the past that happened, that, whether I knew or not, or this or that, none of that is important, because who you are right now, who you strive to be, and allowing God to create you to be, is what's important. And so, that's not the important part. Why are we going to stay stuck there? It's a part of your journey, it's a part of who you are, it's a part of your testimony. But right now, to be able to sit here and, be able to share and be like, hey, whatever it was necessary, because it got me to the point where I am right now, to be able to speak to people, to speak out of my experience. And so that is the purpose of this space, is because we know there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new out there that someone else hasn't experienced this, where, hey, my dad went through the same thing, or I'm going through the same thing, or I don't know how to approach this with my family member, or whatever the case. And so being able to sit here and share out of that is something that is just a testament to your character, because we came to hear you speak. Like, at the 10 year, like, we came and heard you speak about it, and you speak other places, like, you open yourself up to other people, and that is a blessing, because sometimes folks get on this side of it and they don't want to talk about it, or they want to act like it never existed, or it's just like, like, you just look down, like, I'm just going to tell you what to do and not walk. I know you've walked with people, you've spoken into their lives, and you can only do that if you are humble enough to say, hey, I can act like it was me, but if it was left up to me, that insanity that you talked about, you could still be in that spiral or be gone.
I am knowing that I have tools to work with. Willingness, awareness. I picked them up along the way. And I'd be somewhere off on a tangent and talking all sideways, and somebody would say no, because I'm, left up to me, I'm gonna open up another store. It's all I'm gonna do, and I'm on such and such, and no. Just be aware. Just be aware of your surroundings. At this time, things may not be, the climate might not be just right. They'd have to tell me, because I'm telling you, when I left, I had decided, once I closed the store, I found a place up on Chagrin, I was gonna open it up, and my father came, and my best buddy from the street came, and they told me no, and I said, well, my buddy said, no, there's no parking. He said, we can go into this thing together if you need money, if you need whatever. My father said, first thing he said was, he had gotten spooked by that time. He said, I'm not giving you a dime, so don't. And I said, no, I just want your blessing. And he looked at me real strange. He said, so he just sit back and waited. But he taught me, that's how I got the job. And I was right down the street from mine. So I got so mad. I said, are you serious right now? You guys are telling me, I didn't need you guys here to tell me no or don't do it. And so it made all the sense in the world. There was no parking. And it was right on Chagrin. Nobody's going to walk way around. They love me to death and whatever, but they're not coming there. And it just doesn't work that way. That's why they have parking in successful businesses. I walked right up there and got the job. So the tools that I've acquired, I know now where and how they are to be utilized. And it is surreal. It is way beyond I got some expectations that I have to keep in check, because I can get to where I expect the toast not to be burnt at home. Huh? Really? Or I can expect one of these guys not to do or bend the rules at work. lets me know I'm still in progress.
Yeah.
No perfection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though I might think, well, I'm gonna have this sitting, I gotta have that picture sitting just like that. Okay, well, you do that, but these other things you're talking about that go out and you taking time away from what he had instructed that you do today.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten that you have a certain set of things that have to be thought about, prayed about?
Yeah.
Then you move on for, have you asked for direction today? That's the whole thing. And the answer is yes or no.
Right.
I'm talking about, yeah, well, I forgot to remember. What? Huh? The answer is no. So,
Yeah.
why don't you take a moment and then wait on that answer for direction?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, my expectation is I need to hear it so I can get over here and get my shoes. The expectations, even up on everybody else now. I got to be careful. We are still getting to a place, and I can see the wonders of what's coming around from, you know, I look at my phone. I just now got to where I've gotten to be a phony, a real, not that kind of phony, but I got a phone that I can share communication with.
Navigate
and I'm seeing my granddaughter don't call me. And I'm biting my lip till it bleed. I'm saying she better about to get it, cause I'm been a. It's okay, son. It's working out way better than you can imagine. Cause when she do start talking to you, you're gonna try to hide. So get yourself prepared. You okay? And then the question is always gonna be, whenever I get into a place, and it's all too often, what do he say? Don't me come talking about what who said and kind of, you got a question mark? Ask yourself, you'll be all right. What do he say?
What do he say?
Did you ask him?
Right.
They got a wireless connection they call prayer, bro.
Oh boy.
You been there? You been there?
Uh-oh.
When you been there? You ain't been there, have you? When you talking good, you better.
Wow. So you touched on relationships, and to the point where you had a family meeting and everybody was discussing you, whether you were in the part of the conversation or not. If we, just stay right where we are, have you repaired those broken relationships? Are you working on it? Is it like some, what I'm saying? Like, is that your desire, or there are some that have been or are in the works?
I can't right now see where there's any loose end, where any of the darkness that hasn't been exposed and been told in the correct way. There were some misconceptions. Just yesterday, I had a conversation about my sister about our father and how things had come at the end, had really wrapped up for him, and she had no idea. So this is how many blessings that are headed my way. I mean, I got some type of a, I don't know, it's just a fear of, I'm almost scared to know, and then I have to kind of say, it's okay. We're having a conversation about it, and then that just asked the question, did you know? And she said, no. I knew about A, but I didn't know about B. We had this, everybody came. Well, my father's last birthday party, we weren't invited. And when I say we, none of the kids. My eldest brother came from California, and his wife, and a family friend and his wife. I'm too busy and still flipping around. And I got this call from the older sister, which, by the way, let me say, we shall meet.
Okay.
Sooner than later.
Okay.
She's 86, and it's going to be another, believe me, podcast. Unrehearsed on the spot.
Oh boy!
I can't wait now. A lot of things, my nervousness about a few things has subsided. Anyway, we get this call, and this is how she is. She said, "Dad's having a birthday party. We're not invited. So what we're going to do? We're going to get a caravan together and park down the street. And we're going to go knock on that door, video cameras in hand, and we're going to crash this party. That's what we did.
Wow.
It was a and we have footage of that, which you'll see. I'm there now. We can do some things. You know, handles back on the door now.
Sounds like freedom.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And its finest, at its finest. And I can't tell you the meltdown.
From him
and everybody
else.
Now, it got to where it was blessed and glorified and everything. Then it got to be some questions that were, you know, candid questions. What about you? And what you doing nowadays and so forth? And I'm saying, they said, yeah, you. And by the time it got there, we kind of squashed it, but we had another meeting as a result of that, because I just sort of took the fifth and said, you know, and no, we're not now. We done enough. So let's don't go off into, and we had this next meeting, and it got so heated. I mean, people out in the street, and because there was some revelation, some reveal about what was really going on with me, because they were saying, did you know that he had that kind of problem? What? Why come he ain't in the hospital? No. I mean, there he is. Yeah, he's standing there, but ain't nothing on the inside. A pig is a pig dressed up. It's still a pig. So I was exposed, and I had to come clean, if you will. And that was the beginning of a turnaround. It took a lot of fiber, that with a lot of connection that was there, a lot of real close connection was there, and it kind of disconnected it right away, saying, well, I mean, why didn't you do this? And so a lot of ignorance. They didn't know that you play a game pretty good for a while, but little did they know they were saving me from me, because that's what was fixing to happen. I was finna self-destruct because I didn't really, number one, I didn't know, and you can't continue to survive out there in these elements like that, and you don't really know how the game is being played. I didn't have any real knowledge, to be honest, about how the thing goes. I mean, a lot of these guys are cutthroat. They take money. They don't just get money. They take it, and if you don't give it up like that, you'll lose what little life you got left in you for that money. And one of the things I learned, that money hypnotizes. Yeah,
it does.
It will. And these things are tools that I've acquired that I can now use. And I can tell you, God took away from that questioning. Well, let me think about it. I ain't going down there to work. He had me in a position where I must succumb because I needed, common sense, like I said, was still, I needed some money to get a bus pass. And my bike, when I first started working there, got stolen. And I had spent a lot of money on that, and I got they didn't refund, they didn't give me another bike, they didn't pay for it or anything. So I've grown quite a bit there, and I've earned knowledge enough to even say that even though whatever position I had, I still had that same title, but I'm wearing many more hats that they could never have offered me in the beginning without some so-called formal training, clinician, and so forth and so on. I've gotten it by this teacher, this instructor, because those ones that are there, unless they are cut from that cloth, that they won't know.
Right.
So it's working out. Is what I can tell you, and I'm way past grateful. I've got some very I can't even recall, except as of late, every now and then I'll see somebody either coming back that way or in the street somewhere. And if you aren't treating people, if you don't have a smile for somebody every day, look out. Look out, because before I didn't know how sensitive this type of work is, because I'm working in mental health. Somebody had to tell me that. Like, what's wrong? I'm all beat up coming home and don't. I've shared it with you a couple of times, man. What kind of I gotta be? I really have lost it. What kind of guy would go through what I went through on any given day and want to go back there? And the killing part is I don't feel like any resistance when I'm going. I'm going back in whistling the next day and.
Sounds like the profession I'm in.
And
but
next thing I know,
it's divine. That's
next
how you
thing I know,
Lord.
there's a wall.
Mm.
And I'm saying, so after a while, it becomes to me. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. You're getting groomed for, you know, my kingdom.
Oh my gosh, that's
my
what
kingdom.
I mean.
You got this down here. We're getting some of the dark out the way.
Yeah.
You shining some light.
Yeah. But
shining some light.
But what you've also done is created a legacy, and whether it's I know it's unintentional. You're not out here like, hey, let me leave my mark so that these people in my family can say this about me. That's not who you are. But it's just by you being obedient and allowing God to position you that it has just the result and the product of that is legacy that I am proud to be a part of.
Thank you.
And so in this, like we always like to end our episodes with leaving like words of wisdom or just encouragement for people who, you know, can connect with your story and just connect with our conversation. And there's been so many nuggets just dropped off this entire time we've been together. But what would you say to others who are either struggling with some sort of addiction or family members of people who are struggling with an addiction? What would you leave them as like an encouraging word to impart to them? And it could be, I'm just gonna let you go.
You have no power against whatever it is that's confusing you. So at some point or the other, somebody has your attention. Whether it be there's a word that gets your attention, and I would say surrender is a key word, or else I always want to say that you hear something. People are in a place where they're saying, "Man, I don't need to hear. I just need $3. I don't."
Right.
Try to do the best that you can do. You can't probably put all these things together and come away with somebody that you would like to emulate or something. Do the best that you can, because the key is you can hear all of the suggestions and you can follow them, and if you don't, your expectations too high and it doesn't turn around, and you have to remember that it's only going to be in His time. There is a time, and it's going to be such that the example that you have, pay attention to the examples, because the confusion is there, but there's something that you don't understand. There's a mental and a physical allergy. And then there's a mental obsession that takes place. If you don't get into the things that make you understand what's wrong with me, the last thing I've tried, that I don't have any defense and so forth and so on. If you start allowing someone to have some input, that will at least give you the chance that you need, because physically your body's going to stop you. I would say just take whatever opportunity you have, wherever junction you're at right now. It's no more than an opportunity. You have, where I'm taking it from the place that I work, you have an in date, you have an out date. And while you're there, do the best you can to recognize all that other confusion and everything else about what happened out there. You lost this, and this is going on, and so forth and so on. This is an opportunity, no more, no less. And if you don't surrender to this opportunity, then we'll have to just repeat and go through.
Yeah.
And it probably doesn't have enough time to restore. So my test, and it's been said to me, when you're in the kindergarten, and I'm gonna put this in a teacher's context, you didn't know what was gonna happen in the 6th grade. You didn't have to know what was gonna happen in the 3rd grade. Testing got you there. My tests have allowed me to have this testimony.
And on that note, that's a mic drop. You didn't, okay. That, this, I ain't gonna ask you another question. I ain't gonna say nothing else. That was perfect.
I'm ready.
And I just thank you again for saying yes, for trusting this process, for trusting me, and I appreciate it.
Listen, I have no idea what's in store for me, and it's been told to me. Just continue on. Some of the things that I wasn't really lined up on and so forth and so on, can I see the gifts?
Yeah.
Can I see the gifts that I'm surrounded with? Be careful.
Yeah.
Because in a moment, if you choose to disobey, I know the consequence. And I've had all the examples that I need. I don't need any more. And they need help now. They've helped me. All of them, believe me, nothing I could have imagined or done all the way up until now, I'm being helped. It'll seem like it, I'm doing some things, giving and so forth and so on, and exhaustion, but I put in so little and got so much.
That's by His grace and His mercy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that He blesses us exponentially. So what we, like you said, what I put in, we'll never match God's output with our input. That's how it goes.
And you know what? I'm happy to do it.
Amen.
I'm happy to do it. They can't mess with the help that I have.
Yeah.
The real help that I have.
Yeah.
And they know I'm seeing it, even though there's some workings from the adversary that's come in, just makes it more apparent that this now, don't you get to one way or the other. Don't you stay right in the vein of where you're supposed to be at.
Yeah.
And once it all becomes apparent that all we have to do, it was put to me that you just be on board. Don't worry about if it's working, how it's going to do and all that. You just make sure you on board when it go. Don't talk about, well, why come that and why come we're trying to analyze and dissect and do all that.
Yeah.
You just be on board because it's moving.
Yes.
Don't you get off,
right.
And get off there talking about, well, let me go over here because they stay on board.
Yes. Stay positioned and stay open.
Or else.
So what? There we go.
Or else.
Oreos. I don't want Oreos.
No, I've experienced
I don't.
it.
Yeah.
I've experienced, and others are going through, and you have to prepare yourself also, because even though we're saying, wow, this is getting good, this is gooder, I like this, and I'm feeling good. I mean, everything working out okay. I'm good now, and I'm on my way, and I'm good. What about when something is coming? We got a family situation now. You got a brother you have to steal.
Yeah.
You have to get down on both knees. Don't get down on one knee.
Yeah.
And stay there until you know that you've heard. I see the Holy Spirit working in church Sunday morning. I didn't know who this was behind me, but just the Holy it was just.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying to myself, I was. The phone rang the other day. My son-in-law called me. Now, I said to myself the other day, why you don't call me? Why you don't call me? Well, I got all kind of lists why. I ain't with the Bengals. He didn't like when I wore my red shoes that time. I'm all over into the negativity. I said, better call. Because you look up, I'll be in the driveway. You better call. He must have heard me because he called. And he was just, it was just like we had been talking. I said, you just got to get out the way. Will you just let him do his job? And
yes.
You can't fix you. You can't fix things. Don't be talking about why come. You got other things to be concerned with.
Yes.
Have you sat down and did any kind of little meditating today or what? That's what you should be doing. Your hair would be black if you didn't just keep on with this other stuff. Here you go. And he said, man, I can't wait to see this podcast. Huh? Because, listen, he already knew me from 2100.
Yep. Look at that. Ain't that something?
Looking like a, I wanna say, you just did that to talk to my daughter, man. You ain't seen me at no 2100. That was my brother Icky. That wasn't none of me. That's him, and I always stay in for him. Yeah, it sure was Icky.
No, it was Icky.
For real, it really was.
It was. Oh my goodness.
And I try to keep him like that Jack in the Box.
Oh,
because all I got to do is start cranking it up.
Damn boom.
There you go. Yeah, and he'll do the same thing he's always done. Yeah. And the best is yet to come.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Exactly.
I can't tell you. I'm way up there.
Yeah.
I'm way up there.
Praise the
I'm
Lord.
way
for
up
that.
there, man.
Praise the Lord.
And the thing is, how great thou art. He's never said one time, why you didn't speak to me at 2100, man? Why you act funny? I know you was a little probably, thinking, but you looked over there, you saw me. But I wasn't mad at you, I ain't mad at you now. But next time you see me, it wasn't I'll at me, bro. Oh, and I'm now, you know what's gonna have me sitting up all night? I'm saying, I remember being there. I remember the ROTC kids that Christmas, because I was there from that. That was a Christmas I spent there. I'll never forget. And one of the people from Arthur Quincy lived right there that know me, helped me to graduate from high school, worked in the laundry the first night I was there.
See how God just put everybody
Gave me
around?
a Christmas gift.
Wow.
I got my coat stole. The guy that stole it knew I was coming to get him. They was telling me, I don't know where he at. And I went, and then when he come and brought me another coat worth 10 times the one he took and asked me for $5 for it. You talking about a wild experience. But this will have me trying to see him. The people were there in the church. Listen, your aunt was the first one that I ever heard that word come out. They used to go down there all the time. And that's the only thing I was, the guy told me, he said, Nick, I'm taking you to 2100. I said, no, you ain't. No, you're not. Nope.
See?
I forgot a little something. Every Thursday that I can, I go there and sit in that same, on this side of that fence and look at those guys. And I sat there on a Thursday morning. Is when they have anybody come outside and read the 24 hour, whatever it is. And it's way past something. And I've gone back down there on a bike. I had 2 wheels at one time, and now I got 8 wheels.
Look at that. Well, I thank you again. I appreciate you so much. This was so great. I'm probably gonna listen to it 1,000 times.
Yeah, I like to just think that edited, unedited, this has got to be the greatest.
Oh
one of the
yeah,
greatest
oh yeah,
moments.
we gonna listen to it.
Yeah, listen, and,
before I even post it.
I'm gonna have this conversation with Jason. I can't,
Yeah.
because I've come to know him. I mean, now enough just makes it. It ain't no why. This is him. Ain't nothing wrong. You gonna make something be wrong? You better be. Don't go running up there talking about, man, you act. That's the way you gonna do me. No, stay tuned. You seen nothing yet. And that thing that you gave him for Christmas was something.
The Scrabble pieces?
No, the thing you sent him to the
Oh yeah, to the brewery. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and end. She can edit this, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the podcast.
Okay.
So we thank you for joining us today on Epic Experiences. Remember, I have an Instagram page that is One Epic Experience. My personal Instagram is CC Skills. My Facebook page is Epic Experience Podcast, and my personal Facebook is Sinitra Skillern. I'm all over the place. If you want to reach out and join me in studio to talk about your epic experience, my Gmail is one epic experience, the number one epicexperience@gmail.com. Leave me a message and we can talk and get you on this platform to discuss your epic experience, where we encourage people and inspire communities. Talk to you soon. Take care, y'all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. And God bless.
Yes, thank you so much. You did it. Thank you so much.
I'm on top of the world right now. This is gooder.
Yes.